Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Talking with Michael. I'm Michael Seven Michael, and today we have Danae Grandison. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's a pleasure. You're a director, producer. Now, even though I put that in the title, you're also a writer and an editor.
Yes.
Wow, you do a lot.
Yes, I do. I sometimes think the only thing I haven't learned how to do yet is write music, and it would be like the whole ensemble.
It's going to happen. It's part of the evolution with technology. So let's go back to the beginning.
Okay.
Where are you from?
I'm originally from Jamaica, Kingston, Jamaica.
Okay. How long were you in Jamaica before you came to the States?
I don't know anymore. I was young. I moved here in the late 70s, and then went back to Jamaica, finished up high school, and then came back for college. So by now, I've lived longer here in the States than I did in Jamaica. We won't get into my
How was that transition, cultural-wise, going from Jamaica to the States?
Well, from Jamaica to the States, I think when I was younger, from what I can remember, back then, I happened to have had another West Indian family that lived on our block that was also Jamaican. So I remember when we were like 7, just sitting on the stoop, trying to pretend like we could draw for a Jamaican accent. It was pathetic. Then I went back home, and I think that transition was a little bit challenging from what I could remember, having to let go of the things I got accustomed to in the States, and eventually it was like, no time was past, gone. And then by the time I came back up, I guess it was another transition. I went to an all-girls Catholic school, high school, and a co-ed prep school, but at the same time, I'm now like, when I walk in a class, when the teacher walks in the classroom, I'm the first one to stand up, and I'd be like the only one standing, because that's what you do in the Caribbean, just out of respect.
Right.
The teacher enters, you stand. So, I had to kind of reclimatize a bit, but I eventually adjusted, and I stopped wearing my Jamaican flag on my forehead. Assimilated to American life once more.
And before we get too far into production,
Yes.
I have to give a shout out to our sponsor, Sound Shark. If you watching and you see this interesting little globe, it's a microphone, and it's amazing. And you could go to soundsharkaudio.com and check that out. So what got you? What inspired you? What was that spark? Now I want to be a filmmaker. How did that happen?
How did that happen?
Yeah.
I would say it's interesting. It happens at 2 points in life. When the most recent impetus that got me here was a pastor I knew. He said to me, you should look into filmmaking. I'm like, me? I should have filmmaking? Because I'm already in the creative field, but I was doing graphic design and art direction. And then he's like, yeah, you should go back to school for it. So what I initially did was, I'm like, all right, I'm a single mom right now. I don't know if I could really pick up myself and want to go back to school at this phase.
Right.
Let me see how else I can figure out if this is for me. So I found SVA had a summer program. So I did intro to filmmaking. And by this time, my son, he generally goes home during the summer, so to Jamaica. So that gives me a little bit more freedom to okay, I can pick up this extracurricular activity and feel it out. And I did, and I was just like, oh my God. Who knew that this creative outlet existed and it was what I needed? Because when you're doing design work in a commercial setting, you're generally, trying to recreate someone else's vision or ideas, and it's
right.
It's marketing a good or a product, and sometimes I don't have my particular voice in it. And then when I did this, I was like, wait, I have stories I want to tell, and I'm enjoying this space I can exist to share this creative outlet. So that's how that happened. And then when I was going back to school to do my master's a couple years after that. And I had to write the letter, and they're like, your whole history, how you got where you got.
Right.
I was like, oh my God, how did I forget when I was like 15 and 14, even from I think I was 13, I'd be watching the ads, the American ads when I'm in Jamaica, and I'm just like, I want to recreate how we do our stuff. So from then I was actually inspired, but I forgot that I even had that inclination, because I kind of went a different direction by the time I came up for school, and I was no longer in that mindset. I was just kind of like doing graphic. I then moved towards magazine publishing. That's what it was.
Now, your vision coming from another country, were there any handicaps having a different viewpoint, or having that different viewpoint accelerated you, even in just the graphic world and the marketing and advertising?
I would say initially, like in school, I felt my viewpoint was different.
Okay.
I can start from as early back as then. I remember we had this concept we had to come up with, and I decided I was going to do an ad on Red Stripe, and there was this whole party scene, and then I remember the teacher looking at me like, "You're encouraging drinking and driving." I'm like, we're from two culturally different worlds. Like,
there's a time to work and there's a time to party.
Right.
Right.
We know how to party.
Yeah.
But yes, there were moments I did feel the cultural differences, even just how we cohabitate and live with each other. Yes, I felt it. I feel like as if I'm not answering the question directly, but in the general sense, yes.
Right. Yeah. You trying to be politically correct?
Yes, I am. I learned that when I came here too.
And has that hurt your creativity? Having to feel that you need to
BPC?
Yeah, and sometimes just translate. It seems like you had to translate things in a way that another culture could understand, but without being offended.
Offensive,
Yeah.
right? I would say maybe earlier out it was something I became very conscious of. But by now I've been here too long for it to be the thing that hinders me.
Okay.
But I do tap back into my roots, where I would like to bring back some of the sensibilities of where I'm from here, because the PC sometimes draws too many lines. It doesn't necessarily bring us together. It just means I'm drawing this line, and people can sometimes just be very, you only move with yourself, because that's who you know and understand. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the only thing
I might not step on your foot, but I'll still cut you in line.
There you go.
Which doesn't do anybody any good. You still cut me, though.
Exactly. Politely so.
For, I don't want to just say young filmmakers, because I kind of don't like when people do that. So I would say all filmmakers at any stage, and they're watching this, specifically having to do with cultural identity and speaking their truth. From what you just said, how do you do that and still ride that line of being politically correct? Can you do that?
At that point, I don't know if it's as necessary, because if we're going to speak our truth, you have to just speak it. But I think with the cultural, in this caveat, I think when we are speaking our truth, we are taking back control of our narratives, and we are able to change stereotypes of the narratives and give a different perspective on it, is more how I kind of see filmmakers in this caveat working and re-educating people.
All right, I'm going to play some of the, while we're talking, some of the imagery. Now, this is Unspoken. This is the trailer.
Yeah.
And you're covering things having to do with colorism, right?
It's layered. It's layered. It's lots of stuff. There's the racial, there's classism,
interracial relationships, class,
colonialism, residue,
hair texture, color.
Yeah. Relationships, betrayal, it's layered with lots of it's layered with life.
Layered with life.
Yeah.
I like that phrase. That's beautiful. Layered with life. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's a lot to cover, and it's very, very real. And being someone Caribbean background, it's there.
Yeah.
It's still there. It's still prevalent, which is interesting because I think in the Caribbean, it's the Caribbean islands for the most part, not all, but many of them have embraced dealing with a lot of different people, like their diversity.
Yeah.
But yet they still have these issues. How is that possible, in your opinion?
I think it's life. Sometimes I step back and I look at how the Caribbean handles the racial tension and the classist tension on a smaller scale versus the U.S., which is on a larger mass of land, and the makeup is different. The cohabitation here feels very. Sometimes like it needs a healing. Like you need to learn how to live in a smaller world to see how we can all live together. While the Caribbean is not necessarily perfect, I think we're doing a much better job at least cohabitating together. And I think it's also a global issue. I think sometimes the reality is, we do stick to who you know and who you're comfortable with, and it's just something that's natural human instinct. But I do think the Caribbean has a different spin on how we're able to still coexist, marry, and all those little variables.
And all those little things.
Yeah.
And Carnival helps.
Sure. Well, you know what?
To release the steam, all the pressure.
What's that song? I think it's a Bayesian song. Something is the best thing in the world. I can't wish him a lyrics right now. Well, no, I'm just not a soca queen, but
Okay.
I'm not a soca queen, but I do know the 1 and 2 songs. But there's this one song, I think it came out last year. From Crop Over. I think the line is Carnival is the best thing in this world. But basically it's because it can bring people together. And it's when you're on the road, you're not supposed to care about anything. It was just celebrating life. It has nothing to do with who you are, where you're from. It's just vibes.
Yeah. And I think those vibes are definitely, you could see it, you could feel it. And only when election time comes, then everybody becomes very...
Yes, new lines are drawn again.
With markers, not even pencil.
And colored shirts.
Yes, yes.
Everyone is very attached to their
your
colors.
Team,
yes, your team color.
Exhale. But back to this film, and it's interesting because usually when I have guests, I usually always start where you from, and your culture, your experiences, your viewpoint obviously will shape what you do, how you interact. You're a little different because it's so, you kind of did this. And as far as observing some of your work, very interpersonal, some of the clips and the films that I've seen.
Okay.
And now it's like interpersonal in addition to cultural, in addition to pushing the lines. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
So when I saw the trailer, I was like, I have to interview you because you are right where you're supposed to be creatively.
Oh, wow.
I could feel it.
Thank you.
And then watching I just feel that you're at this very interesting point. And this film, we have to push that and get that out there. We have to keep that conversation going. Because I feel too many people are pretending. We're at that point with political correctness that we want to pretend these issues don't exist.
Yeah.
Rather than deal with it. And the only things we want to deal with is the mashing of the toe. The police brutality, yes. The, things that just hit you over the head. But all the subtle little things, well, we'll just ignore that.
Yeah.
And thank you for hitting people over the head, mashing them on their toe, so they can be like, hey, wake up.
Yeah.
So I think that's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
I think that's very, very awesome. So tell us about the process of creating this.
From beginning to end. Well, it started, I want to say 3 Christmases ago.
Okay.
My aunt, she gifted me the book 2 books written by the author Jennifer Graham.
Watch the mic.
Sorry.
Yep, no.
By Jennifer Graham. And they're called The Jackshill and The Bedhead.
Okay.
And when I got to The Bedhead, I was just like, well, from the moment she handed the book to me, I was like, wow, maybe I'll make this into a film. And she's like, yeah. So I was like, Auntie, you're on my vibe. I love it. So finally read the books over the next month, and after I finished, I was like, I have to turn this into a movie. You know, you just kept seeing a picture playing in your head, and it was the 2 women in the story that really appealed to me, because while I was reading it, I also felt something that we women do to each other. We have our own systematic breakdown with that inner conflict and how, you know, the issues with the man, but we don't take it out with the person. We go for our issue be with the other woman, and we watch that play out itself, and the book eventually does a full circle, and these 2 women were actually able to get past this racial divide, and they get past the classism, and they finally see each other as who they are, women, equal.
Wow.
You know, you're no longer separated by these barriers. And that's what I felt was so powerful about this book. I had to tell the story.
Wow.
So I reached out to the author. Well, actually, a friend of mine from school, she's like, oh, let's do a quick short together. Let's do something else other than our thesis. I said, yeah, let's do it. So I went, and I was like, I've just read this book. We should do a few chapters out of this. I found the author, hounded her down, found her on Facebook, and I reached out to her, and she was like, sure. It took me probably, that's 2016 summer or around April. I didn't actually get cameras up and everything until July 2017, which was last year. And in that process, I was like, okay, I'm doing this short, but I really want to do the feature. So before I go any further, let's get this document sorted. And did that. So I also have the rights to do the feature film, which is what I'm working on now as well.
Now, when you do that,
yeah,
are you starting from scratch? You're filming the whole thing over, or?
In my pragmatic mind, I said to myself that I'm going to shoot this, and I'm going to keep this scene so I don't have to reshoot it again. But we'll see. When I did the short, sometimes you lose scenes along the way. Something goes wrong and you can't shoot it anymore, or after watching it, I'm like, oh, you know, I think I might want to add 1 or 2 more things in that I missed. So I'm tempted to reshoot it, but I'll see what happens. I will see what the funds allow me when I get there. And then if the house is still available, you know, all these variables. If it's not, then then I might have to
do it all over.
Shoot the whole thing all over. But in an ideal world, I like to feel like, hey, I got part of my production cost already out of the way.
Right.
Let's not touch it again. Let's just keep going. That's where my brain's at.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you shot everything 4K. Everything shot 4K.
It was shot in 4K. Yeah.
Yeah. The magic word is everything shot in 4K.
I know, right? Even just the other day, I was talking to this colleague, and he got the new iPhone. He goes, yeah, you know, if you need a cameraman with, you know, like a 4K in the back pocket that just walks around and whip it out and make a phone call on, he goes, yeah, you know, you have me. And I'm like, of course.
Right.
Everyone can.
And let it be said, all 4K is not created equal.
That is very true.
Yeah.
That is very true.
So,
and also you find that once I made my Theater ready version, it's actually compressed down to 2K.
Right.
Because as my post-production person informed me, not every theater is necessarily set up for 4K yet. So 2K is still like your
standard.
Yeah.
Right. But if you want to go to Netflix,
don't worry, I got my 4K version saved.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about there.
Yes.
I want people to see this. Okay, your IMDb. Got a lot going on.
Yeah.
So I want people to check you out, and I want them to hire you, as well as support your projects.
Exactly.
And see, it's both.
Yeah.
That's what people forget. But you've done some things.
I've been doing some stuff.
Look at that. Unspoken. So wait, I only see one editing credit.
I didn't edit Redefined. It was my thesis film, and I'm a past student of School of Visual Arts, SVA. And in that program, in that master's program that we did, the objective is for you to kind of work with everyone in their respective discipline.
Okay.
And one of the requirements were you guys are not to edit your film. Because sometimes when you edit your film, we don't have the time, because it's a very condensed program in terms of it all happens in 1 year. And B, we're not getting the experience of working with a professional. Because the objective is to really give you that throw you into
feel.
This is what it feels like when you go into the industry, what this conversation will be like, what this experience is like. So I didn't edit that one, but I sat with him, and then me editing this one was just sheer accident. I started off, I already knew how to set up my files and do my dailies and do like a first rough cut, and that was my initial intention. But then once I started, I just kept going.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Wow, that's crazy. So now you're looking for funding for the
feature?
For the feature?
Yes. I need to finish the second draft, and also at the same time, the second draft of the script, and which I hope to. No more hope. I am finishing the end of this script.
There you go.
Within the next 2 weeks. I'm giving myself a lovely deadline. And but I really need to then kick into gear too. You need that script to then be able to say, hey, this is what I want to shoot.
This is what I want to do.
And I can write the budget based off of the magnitude of the script as well.
But you're also in post-production right now. For something.
No.
No? Mm-mm. See, on that IMDb, it said you're in post-production.
Really? For which one?
Oh, where is that? Bum. See, now I'm getting you in trouble.
I know. I got to go clean that up.
Yeah.
Especially if it's on my page.
Mm-hmm. The Whisperer?
Oh, okay. I produced that one. But I was a line producer.
Okay.
It should. I need to check in with executive producer to see where we're at. Sometimes when you line produce, you kind of you get as far as you do on the production, and you slightly remove yourself.
Okay. And for anyone that doesn't know what a line producer is, can you explain what does a line producer do?
What does a line producer do? Okay, the line producer, in my understanding, is the person that gets you get your production up and running. This is the person that's a part of your hiring. They're doing your budget. They are your day-to-day person from casting, contracts. They run the set itself. They run the back end of the set itself. Obviously, who runs the set is your first AD, but the person that gets this production up and running is your line producer. They're your everything. They're that call you make when something is not going right. They're the call you make when something is amazing. They're your best friend. You hope you love. But your producer is your ride or die. They are on the journey with you the longest, from the script till you're even finished with post. So that's your line producer. I hope that answers all the variables. Because the word producer, that title is thrown around. And
so much, right?
So much, and it's always a fine line to understand the difference between the associate producer, the executive producer, or just a producer, and then the line producer. And some people work for it, and some people just get credits for
credits.
Yeah, or relationships. Which was explained to me once. I was like, how do you distinguish? Some people come with relationships and connections. Some people come with money, and some people are the ones that get their hands dirty. I'm the one that gets the hands dirty. I'll drive a truck if I need to.
So let me, before we go,
Yes.
we definitely want to get all the social media and the websites, but I have to ask you this. Relationships, money, being a woman in the industry, were there any obstacles with any of those three?
Are there any
Are there for yourself?
It's a good question. So far, like what the productions I've been on, you know, their relationships, coexisting relationships that I've had. You know, someone has worked with me and they know me and they value just my ethics, and those are how the referrals have been coming along. For the directing aspect of it, it's still breaking the wall. You know, I'm in the space where I'm still creating my passion projects, and I'm hoping to, you know, eventually get past that phase, and I could, you know, break that wall and step into that other arena where, you know, someone else sees me for my talent as well, too, and my work ethics to direct their productions or commercials or, you know, things of that nature. So that part I'm still, I can't attach to what exactly are the walls that are there, but I just haven't had those opportunities fully manifest yet. So.
Right.
But yeah.
And it's happening.
It's happening. It's going to happen. It's happening.
Especially with Unspoken.
Yes.
So how can people watch and support, and how can they get involved in your journey?
Well, if you follow me on social media, and whenever you see that I have a festival posted, those are the best times to come out.
Okay.
Because especially as a short films are not. They're only available in festivals when they're running the festival circuit. It's not a feature film, so it's not being distributed to hit the theaters. So with the film festivals, you know, you get in and just come out and support, because that's when it's showing.
That's when showing. What's the best website for you? Like, is there some place we could find all your links in one spot, or?
Well.
Wait a minute.
Which one? I feel like I'm all over the place now. I guess Danae Grandison.com has everything, but then for the film itself, if you follow Facebook.com/Unspoken by Danae Grandison or D Grandison, I don't even remember. I mean, it was so long, because Unspoken apparently is not an uncommon title, and I thought it was. Please forgive me.
But your page would have the links, right? If
Yes.
they go to you? Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll send it. Well, your name popped up on there, so in the lower thirds.
Okay.
Boop. So people can find that relatively easy.
Yes.
All right, so if you had a statement to describe what's coming up for you, for your fans, what would it be?
Oh, that's a difficult one. Why did you give me that question? Ask it to me again.
Because I can't give you easy ones. Just come on.
I don't mind. So what do I have coming up for me?
Yeah.
It's just where I'm at right now, which is, you know, finishing that gosh darn feature script. Then I can tell you a lot more good stuff after that. I am hoping, stop using that word, hope. I am willing
Yes.
into my being. Hopefully, there goes that word again. A relationship where there's the short I did for Redefine. A friend of mine, she really liked it, and she's like, I don't know why you haven't done anything else with that. And I was like, oh, well, you know, I kind of moved on to Unspoken. But it does remind me that I need to go back and finish where I see the potential of that short, which was turned into a series. At first it was a film, but I'm like, no, I really want to do this coming of age story about teenagers just going through their life choices and kind of shooting a little bit of a, not really gritty, but realistic experience, and I'd love to get that out there. So I need to get back on that too.
Well, thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
Awesome. And you're watching Talking with Michael. I am Michael7 Michael, and here's follow my journey in this whole thing. And again, thank you very much, Soundshark. You could go to soundsharkaudio.com. And everyone out there, continue to keep the conversation going and enjoy.